Hey guys, it's DeGranny, and I'm back with another deck analysis. Now, I know you see the Zekrom tin, but if you look inside, there's actually sleeves. This is my deck tin. It has 3 decks in it, but that's just because I haven't gotten any other deck boxes yet. Sorry I didn't upload yesterday. I was planning on it, and then I got home late, just like today, but I promised myself and a couple subscribers that I'd put one today. So I'm going to do a deck analysis today, and today it will be, if I can get it out, from the blue sleeves, my Fighting Rogue deck. Alright, so I'm going to get everything organized and we will begin the deck analysis. So, as you can see here, this is my full deck. Counting the items and supporters, and then the Pokemon, they're kind of close to the same style as my fire deck. But that's kind of just how I run my decks. They're usually about 19 Pokemon, near 30-ish trainers, counting supporters, and then the rest are just energies that I think fit in. From the Pokemon, I run 19 Pokemon. From the items and the supporters, I run 27 total, 18 items and 9 supporters. And then I run 14 energies, 13 fighting basic energies, and 1 double colorless. Now you ask, why am I only running 1 double colorless? Well, this deck really doesn't need a double colorless energy in it at all, but sometimes you'll get it and you'll need it then, like if I play it with Groudon, or if I'm really needing to get a attack off with Conqueror or Girder, I can just slap it on, go with Steel Swing or Top Down, instead of just attaching 4 fighting energies. But I'll explain that later on when I go through each of the Pokemon and how I like to run this deck. So yeah. So now we're just going to go through the Pokemon. And here are the 19 Pokemon I like to run in this deck. We'll start off with what I like in this deck is the Groudon. Y'all saw me pull these, and I was trying to not say y'all. You guys saw me pull this in the Noble Victories booster box opening. I like this card because it has Rough Skin, and you put 2 damage counters on it. Now I run a Rocky Helmet in this deck. I actually run 2, I believe. And if you slap that on, that's taking 40 damage whenever you attack Groudon. That's ridiculous. Like, the extra 40 damage, that helps so much. Like, if I were to have this in my Zeal deck, take that 40 damage and then go with Zekrom EX's Strong Volt, that thing's knocked out, even if it's an EX. This is an amazing card, especially when you hook it up with the Rocky Helmet. Now, a great substitution I see for this card is the Lucario, especially since it's a fighting deck. Now, the Lucario does the same thing. However, it is a stage 1, so you have to evolve it from Riolu, and that's why I don't run it. I like having this basic, and it has 100 HP. That's pretty good. It's a strong card, and it has Clutch. Now, I run the 1 DCE for maybe if I have Groudon to start with and I pull a DCE, I can slap that on, and then I'll have 1 fighting energy to go, and I can use Clutch. What Clutch does is the defending Pokemon cannot retreat during your opponent's next turn. So that could help a little bit, especially if they need to retreat out to attack you. I really like Groudon, and I've been wanting it so bad. These are the only 2 I have, and they're both in my deck. Eventually I might move them out, depending on the cards I get. So we'll move on from here. I run 2 Drill Bursts, Dark Explorers, number 55 out of 108. It has an attack for 2 fighting energies, and it's Scratch, and it does 30. Now, you're asking, Drillbur, that's weird. Well, Drillbur really isn't the Pokemon I'm going to attack with. However, I like to use Excadrill instead. This is also the Dark Explorer's Excadrill, and it is 56 out of 108. This Excadrill has an attack called Tunnel Strike for 1 fighting energy, and it does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Now, that 30 damage, I'm going to explain why I like running that card a little later, and having that attack on there. Then it also has an attack called Dig Uppercut. It only does 50 damage for 2 fighting energies. That's okay, but what it does is it puts a card from your discard pile into your hand. It doesn't say you have to show your opponent, and it can be any card. It can be a supporter, it can be an item, it can be an energy, it could be a Pokemon. You never know. You get the decision to do that. You get that a couple of times, and that's going to work out perfect for you. So that's why I like Excadrill in this deck. It's kind of different, and it's pretty cool. Now I'm going to skip a couple cards, and I'm going to go to Terrakion. Now, a fighting deck isn't complete without these 2 babies. Terrakion is always essential for this kind of deck. It has an attack for fighting and a colorless called Retaliate. I'm sure y'all probably know this card too. It's really well known by now. And it's 30 plus. If Terrakion's basically a revenge killer. If somebody kills off one of your Pokemon, you send out Terrakion as long as he has an energy on him, and you can use Retaliate, and the 30 plus now becomes 90. Well, most decks now, Darkrai and Zeodex, 90 damage knocks out any Pokemon unless they have an Eviolite on it. So that's pretty good right there. I really like Terrakion for this deck. I was really hoping I could get one more, but I could not from the Noble Victories booster box opening, but that's okay. I'm fine with running 2. 2 is pretty good for this deck, and I can't really find any other card to get rid of from this deck. Now I'm going to move on to the Landers. I only run 1 Landers. It's the only Landers I have. This is the promo Landers from the Forces of Nature box. Now, Landers has 2 attacks. The first attack for 1 fighting energy. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't go over Land Crush on Terrakion. Land Crush actually is pretty good as well because it also does 90. But most people don't use Land Crush, and they try to get the Terrakion out fast as possible. That's same with me. But once my Terrakion gets out, usually I have to leave it out there. So I'll attach another fighting energy and use Land Crush. So that helps out really nice, especially if you're going up against a Zeo or Darkrai deck. Back to Landers now. I'm sorry for skipping back. I forgot to go over that. The first attack is called Abundant Harvest, and for 1 fighting energy, you can attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So now you're recycling energy, as with Excadrill, if you decide to recycle energy, which is really useful in this deck because there's only 13 fighting energies, and this deck could easily run 20. Trust me, I will get to that later. The next attack for 3 energies, 2 fighting and 1 colorless, it has an attack called Gaia Hammer. It does 80 attack and 10 damage to each bench Pokemon, including your own and your opponent's. So I like this card mainly for Gaia Hammer. Gaia Hammer is hitting the bench Pokemon, and that's what I like. Just like how I like it with the Tunnel Strike from Excadrill. You hit the bench Pokemon. It's going out really well, and you're getting damage on stronger cards that could be on the bench. Now, the reason I like hitting the bench Pokemon is for this, Groudon EX. Groudon EX is really good for this deck on a couple accounts, as it is one of the main attackers. I have not gone over my main attackers. Landorus is a main attacker. Excadrill is like a so-so attacker, if that makes any sense. And then Terrakion becomes a main attacker every now and then. Groudon EX has 2 moves. The first move for a fighting and a colorless is called Tromp, and it does 20 damage. 20? On a main attacker? That's terrible. Well, yes, but it does 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Now, that's good. It's not too great, but the next attack is even better. Giant Claw. For 2 fighting and a colorless energy, it does 80 plus. Now, the 80 plus is if the defending Pokemon has 2 or more damage counters already on it, it does 40 more damage. So that attack now becomes 120 and knocks out any card in a Zeal or a Darkrai deck except a Mewtwo. Or a Tornadus EX, I'm sorry. That is just insane. Nothing can stop Groudon EX in those 2 decks except a Mewtwo or a Tornadus EX. That's really great. I really like Groudon EX, and he becomes a main attacker really well. And Excadrill's Dig Uppercut lets me bring him back if I need him back from the discard pile or anything. Now, you're thinking, you see the Timberline. Well, aren't Stage 2 done? Stage 2's done? No. To me, they're not. I run 4 Timbers. It has 2 moves. For a colorless, it has Low Kick for 10. And then for 3 energies, for fighting and a double colorless, it has Hammer In for 30. Now, sometimes I'll throw the DCE on this card, but I don't often like to do that. Timber is so-so, and I don't really like to use him all that much. Now, this Timber is from the Dark Explorers. You can use any kind of Timber really with this deck. I just found this one more useful because the second attack is closer to the last attack of Conkeldurr. Now, I have Girder. This one is also from Dark Explorers, and the reason is because its second attack is closer to Conkeldurr's attack. So that's why I like to use it. Now, it has Low Kick as well for a colorless for 20. Just a step above Timber. That's not really a great attack. And then it has a second move called Steel Swing. For fighting and a double colorless, you flip 2 coins, and this attack does 60 damage times the number of heads. So that's pretty good right there. And then the last card of my Pokemon is Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr is amazing for this deck. It has an ability called Craftsmanship. For each fighting energy attached to Conkeldurr, it gains 20 HP. So you could easily, or just for doing the attack top down, which costs 4 energies, you're already at 220 HP. Insane. However, this card is really weak to Mewtwo. I know, and I'm not going to go over, or I will go over top down. Top down does 80, and you flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, you discard the top card of your opponent's deck. That's pretty good, especially if you're trying to burn them out. Now, this card is really weak to Mewtwo. A suggestion for this deck, if you decide to play this deck and you're running into a lot of Mewtwo's and you're getting killed off a lot easier than I usually get because I can fly by Mewtwo's a couple of times, you might want to run your own Mewtwo because Mewtwo is a great counter to Mewtwo. So, yeah. So, now we're going to move on to the item cards. Okay, now time for the items and supporters. I am not running any stadium cards in this deck. There is no point at all for me, really. Also, I'm going to try to run through this very fast as I only have like 3 or 4 minutes left. So, this is how I like to play. And I know some of the cards have been in red sleeves, and that's because they have been in a different deck. I like to run Switch, mainly because a lot of the cards in this deck have really high retreat costs. There's nothing else to explain why I run a Switch. Because with Sky Arrow Bridge, there's still no hope for me to retreat them easily. I have to run Switch in this deck. Next, 2 Rocky Helmets. I like to throw these on Druddigon, as I stated before, because then the defending Pokemon, not mine, my opponent's Pokemon, that's an easier way to explain it, is taking 40 damage for each attack they do to Druddigon. And sometimes I'll throw it on Conkeldurr just because Conkeldurr will have so much HP, it's kind of ridiculous to get through. I run 3 Heavy Balls, mainly because a lot of the cards in this deck have a retreat cost of 3 or more. So this is an easy way to get out my Conkeldurr, my Groudon, my Terrakion, anything I need like that. Next, I run 2 Ultra Balls, just another way to get out Pokemon if I need it. maybe to get out the Conqueror if I don't have a heavy ball, or to get out a Girder or a Timber or something. Whatever, I don't care. Ultra Ball is pretty good for this deck. Then I have 3 Super Rods, and the reason for this is a lot of the Pokemon will get KO'd. Yes, my Pokemon are going to get KO'd. And I'll lose some fighting energies. So I run some Super Rods to get those energies and those Pokemon back a lot easier. And it truly does help a lot, especially because experience share, as I'm about to explain, and I dropped one, it runs where you can only get 1 energy back. Even if the Pokemon has like 7 or something on it, you can only get 1. Unless you have multiple down, then you can get 1 for each Pokemon. So I do run experience share, and that's to help with Terrakion for the Retaliate, and to get some more fighting energies on the Conqueror. So those experience share is really useful for this. Next, I have 2 rare candies, and the only reason for this is to evolve Timber. Honestly, like, if I have a Conqueror and a rare candy, it's going to be so much easier than have to go to Girder and then Conqueror. But that's why I run rare candy. The next 9 cards are supporters. I run 2 Silent. The reason for this is I need fighting energies to play, and I like to get these out quickly so I can attach them to Conqueror. Next, I like to run 3 Ns. This is usually my typical kind of deck, 3 Ns. I don't like to run any more than that. N makes you and your opponent shuffle their hand into their deck and draw the amount of prize cards you have. So N is very great for any deck, and I think it's essential to run in every deck. And next, I play Juniper, and Juniper is also another essential, and I like Juniper because I can get more cards. Maybe I can pull the Conqueror and Rare Candy at the same time out of the 7. I have a really good chance to do that. Or get some more fighting energies for a Conqueror that's already out. I know this part of the video was a lot quicker, but most of these cards, they're really easy to know, and I explained them before in the fire deck video. I know this one probably wasn't as well thought out and planned as the fire deck, but I hope that it runs very smoothly. Thank you for watching, and until next time, see ya. Dig 'em.